This is CBC Winnipeg News.
Good evening. Thanks for joining us. Crime, vandalism, and open drug use. They're common sights outside some Portage Avenue stores. But it's not just businesses' bottom lines that are taking a hit. It's become a safety issue for customers and staff. Now stores want to see changes in the area and solutions that will last instead of pushing the problems elsewhere. CBC's Gavin Axelrod has more.
A fire was set outside this thrift store on Portage Avenue earlier in May. There's been open drug use in the vestibule and public defecation. A window was also recently broken and items were stolen at Just Like New to You. Sisters Patty Antoniak and Susan Lockhart say the costs of upgrading security at the charity are adding up. They're also looking for help with the issues.
But it just seems like the neighborhood has changed. There seems to be a lot more drug activity, a lot more people hanging around in the bus shacks and things like that.
They don't want to be a store that locks its doors and decides who gets to come in, but they worry about the safety of volunteers and shoppers.
We care for the people around here, and they come in, we provide them clothes for free, we support them if they need it, and so it's sad to see more than anything.
Area Councillor Cindy Gilroy says as people move into transitional housing, it's not the only resource needed. The province has said wraparound supports are provided as people are housed through the Your Way Home strategy. Gilroy says she's requested to temporarily remove some bus shelters in the area.
The city hasn't wanting to go that far yet, but I think we're going to have to start looking at ways where we're going to manage this.
Yeah, some of the issues that we've seen so far.
It's also affecting business next door at this bar and restaurant. General Manager Brendan Galley says more people are overdosing, and his staff are administering naloxone about once a month.
We do want to be in good relations, but it's gotten to a point where it's surpassed the resources that we can provide even to the community.
Lockhart says she'd also support a public restroom or outhouse nearby. She recently wrote to Mayor Scott Gillingham about her concerns and spoke to the mayor by phone Friday.
He said he immediately talked to the police chief, who they were going to talk about the open drug use.
The mayor's office says he has spoken to Police Chief Gene Bowers about open drug use and has made it clear he'd support efforts to target that activity. Justice Minister Matt Wiebe also says the province is committed to addressing root causes of crime while protecting the safety of the public. Gavin Axelrod, CBC News, Winnipeg.
Groomed, lured, and coaxed into sending sexually explicit videos. The young child at the center of it all, just 10 years old. It's a case police say is filled with disturbing details and led to the arrest of a 32-year-old American man. As CBC's Santiago Arias Orozco reports, police say it's a terrible reminder of the dangers that lurk on the internet.
Police in Manitoba are calling it heinous. They say a man groomed a 10-year-old girl he met online.
This incident was a terrible reminder of the dangers that lurk on the internet, especially for children and teenagers.
RCMP say the child thought she was talking to a teenage boy on a popular social media platform. Turns out the man was 32 and from the United States. Police didn't name the site.
There's a lot of them that are victimizing children, if not all of them.
U.S. court documents show they were talking on Snapchat. Police say the conversation with the man continued over iMessage, where they spoke for about a week in December. Text messages showed the girl followed the accuser's demands to pose and send multiple sexually explicit images and videos. Court documents shows the girl's grandmother discovered the messages and notified police. In February, authorities arrested 32-year-old Courtney Arden Weiss III in Wadsworth, Ohio. RCMP say this case underscores the risk for children on the internet.
Basically, anyone in the world that have a cell phone connected to data, which is connected to the web, can have access to many, many children.
The Canadian Centre for Child Protection says they hear about cases like this every day. The number of online luring reports has grown from about 750 in 2020 to over 3,300 last year. The centre wants more regulation, but couldn't say what that looks like.
They have been allowed to create spaces that are unsafe for children, and they've been allowed to create those with no regulation and no oversight.
Weiss is charged with sexual exploitation of children. receiving images of minors engaged in sexual explicit conduct, and possession of child pornography. RCMPs say U.S. law enforcement believe there are more victims. Weiss is not facing charges in Canada. Santiago Arias Orozco, CBC News, Winnipeg.
Meantime, a former hockey coach who lured and repeatedly sexually assaulted a teenage player on her team is going to prison. Court heard Madison Billick used her position of power and trust to groom the teen. It eventually escalated to her using secret meetings, exploiting the player, and recording it. CBC's Caitlin Gowerluck was in court and has the latest.
For more than a year, hockey coach Madison Billick groomed and sexually assaulted a teenage player on her team. In court on Monday, Billick was taken into custody after being sentenced to 6 years as part of a joint recommendation. Billick, now 31, was between 24 and 26 years old at the time of the offenses. She pleaded guilty in 2024. The player, who can't be identified because of a publication ban, was 15 and 16 at the time. Court heard the abuse started with Billick taking the players skating and to hockey practice, but later involved late-night calls, explicit photos, and sexual acts. The girl later said it left her with emotional and mental health issues. The judge who sentenced Billick said the abuse was carried out through secrecy, deception, and repeated violations of the victim. She said parents, players, and coaches rely on the belief that youth sports are safe environments. And when a person in a position of authority abuses that trust, the entire community feels the consequences. Billick's lawyers told CBC the remorse she showed was a crucial part of her sentence recommendation. They also raised concerns about the lack of women's prison in Manitoba, which means women like Billick are forced to serve their time somewhere else, separated from supports like family that might help them rehabilitate. Billick at one point started crying as the judge read her sentencing decision. She was later taken into custody by sheriffs. Caitlin Gowerluck, CBC News, Winnipeg.
5 months ago, someone smashed the front windows of a Middle Eastern restaurant, part of a wave of hateful acts in Winnipeg. But as the boards out front come down, that message of hate instead turning to hope, thanks to a donation from one local company. CBC's Cameron McLean has that story.
A donation of windows after an act of hate-motivated vandalism has put the owners of this restaurant in a new frame of mind. Ali Zeed owns Habibi's Cafe on Portage Avenue. 5 months ago, someone smashed the front window of his Middle Eastern restaurant and left a threatening note accusing him of being a terrorist and telling him to leave the country.
So when it happened, it was a rough time, but Winnipeg came together, the community came together, locals came together.
The incident in January came amid a spike in hateful acts targeting minority groups. The window smashing happened the same day someone spray-painted swastikas on the door of the Sheri Zedek Synagogue. The two incidents sparked calls for unity from community leaders. Vince Croker, vice president of Clear Secure Manufacturing, says he got a call from Manitoba PC party leader Abi Khan.
Abi said, you do what you want. I just want you to know that this happened. And yeah, my heart really went out to these fellas. And, they did not deserve this, and they deserve a lot better.
Croker's company donated the glass to replace the front windows, worth about $10,000 and made of shatterproof material to prevent future damage.
It's purely vandalism glass, and it can take a lot of punishment. It's in, a lot of buildings in Winnipeg here that probably wouldn't even know that it's in there.
Ramsey Zeed, Ali's cousin and president of the Palestinian Association of Manitoba, says the donation shows people in the community care.
They've showed the Palestinian community and my family at Habibi's here that, we do belong here.
With new shatterproof windows, folks at Habibi's hope they can focus on serving shawarma instead of sweeping up broken glass. Cameron McLean, CBC News, Winnipeg.
All right, well, we did see a little bit of that sunshine over the last few days, but what is to come? Well, Colette Kennedy is in now with your forecast. Colette.
Thanks, Brittany. Well, we're not quite halfway through the month, but here we are approaching that, and we've been really dealing with temperatures that in general are about 5 degrees below seasonal, especially for those daytime highs. Yesterday was cool. This morning temperatures were running around 5 degrees below seasonal for a low. However, as we move through the day today, I mean, baby steps, right? Not quite getting there, but getting certainly closer with some of these nicer temperatures, and way above if you push towards southwestern parts of the province where that warmer air is. We do have a warm up coming our way, but we're also dealing with some wet weather, a few embedded thunderstorms in here, and of course the winds have been picking up as well as we've been moving through the day today. So some breezy conditions in there as well. Overnight tonight, that temperature down to around 9 degrees through the early overnight hours. The risk of thunderstorms will diminish, but still some showers around, down to 7 degrees. The winds change direction, still a little bit breezy. And then tomorrow later in the day, getting into a sun cloud mix and a decent high of 17 degrees. More on the warm up coming up.
All right, thanks, Colette. Senior housing advocates say the province's plan to house the homeless is complicating problematic issues in social housing. We'll have more on that story next. Stay with us. Some seniors who live in social housing units are getting fed up with problems in their buildings. From open drug use to assaults, they say it's no longer safe. They're worried about the impact of Manitoba's plan to house homeless people. CBC's Josh Crabb reports.
A tenant at this 11-story Manitoba housing building in St. James says she feels unsafe in her own home. 65-year-old Moira Connolly says there's open drug use and her neighbors have been assaulted trying to keep strangers out. The building has a daycare and 8 floors dedicated to people 55 and over.
The people who have the addiction issues crack open the door, sleep in those doors. You open the daycare door and it's right adjacent.
Connolly's growing more concerned after seeing other seniors speak out about issues related to the government's plan to end chronic homelessness. The Your Way Home strategy is using Manitoba Housing for people coming from encampments. Erica Wiebe with the Right to Housing Coalition's Seniors Working Group says Connolly's not the only one worried about that plan.
We just keep hearing about seniors who are living in 55-plus social housing who are being greatly impacted by people with multiple needs.
Housing addictions and homelessness Minister Bernadette Smith said last week she stands by the strategy, but acknowledged it will take time for outreach workers and social service agencies to stabilize people living with addiction and homelessness. Smith said the province has housed 223 people who were living in encampments, and only 3 have not stayed housed.
They're being supported so well in their housing that they are staying stabilized within their housing.
Smith's office says Connolly's building is not being used to house people from encampments, but 368 other Manitoba housing units are part of the Your Way Home strategy. A large number of people connected to it are getting mental health and addictions treatment.
We're asking folks to be patient with us while we get folks stabilized.
Connolly says addictions and mental illness are already challenges for some existing tenants in her building.
I don't want to walk to Dollarama to get my granddaughter a treat and have people sitting out there huffing.
Private market rents are too expensive for her, and Connolly doesn't want to leave behind the support network she's built with neighbors at her current home. Josh Crabb, CBC News, Winnipeg.
One Winnipegger is asking the provincial government to cover treatment for an aggressive and deadly form of brain cancer. Chico Colismo was told he had 6 months to live after he was diagnosed with glioblastoma. Following surgery, radiation, and chemo, the cancer got worse. His wife found a medical device that slows down the growth of tumors, but it isn't covered in Manitoba, and treatment costs $30,000 a month. They want the province to step in.
Unfortunately, the medical community has not come up with very much to help treat this disease. But if we were using Optune and these patients were living longer, then maybe they could take more time and do the clinical trials and do more research to try to combat this disease.
The health minister says the device is going through a standard review for new technology. BC is the only other province that's currently offering coverage. A group of concerned landowners say they're ready to fight a multi-million-dollar wind farm project. They say it's not only threatening the beauty of the area, but the wildlife that calls it home. CBC's Chelsea Kemp reports.
Looking out across unbroken acres of farmland and wilderness, Matthew Atkinson worries about the future for his family farm. He says a proposed 200-megawatt wind project in Polonia threatens their rural way of life.
We like the rolling hills, the scenery, the wildlife, and we choose to live here because of that. And so to potentially see this sort of development in here, I think is really tough to swallow.
The project, dubbed Flurry Winds, is a partnership between the Manitoba Métis Federation and Renewable Energy Systems Limited. If approved, the plan is to build between 30 to 35 windmills that could link into Manitoba Hydro's existing Nipawa substation. MMF's Minister of Energy and Infrastructure, Jack Park, says it's been 2 years of hard work studying the area and securing land. He says the wind farm is needed because the province is running out of power.
This is Manitoba Hydro asking us to do a job for them, so we're most definitely interested in getting the opportunity to bid and take part in the installation of these towers.
For some living in the area north of Nipawa, they're worried about what windmills will do to their community. Trevor Bennett says a single windmill would dwarf the town's largest radio tower. He worries multiple windmills will hurt land values and put wildlife in jeopardy.
Well, where I'm located, according to their map, I would have a wind tower that I potentially could be hearing, could potentially be feeling all the time.
Atkinson says residents against the project need more information to better understand the plan and its impact.
Come here and have open dialogue and see if it is something that the community does want. And if not, then we will be prepared to push as hard as we can to prevent this from happening.
The MMF says they expect to get final confirmation on the project from Manitoba Hydro in the fall. Chelsea Kemp, CBC News, Polonia.
All right, let's check in with meteorologist Colette Kennedy for when we might see some warmer weather. Colette.
Thanks, Brittany. Yeah, I'm sure everyone's encouraged by some of the warmer air that's just to the west of us, and that is going to be pressing eastward. And today, of course, some of the temperatures coming up for us here and starting to look good, but comes with some stormy conditions. So in the short term, yes, we have some of the wet weather, a few thunderstorms in there, breezy conditions. Actually, when it comes to the winds, let me underline that. That may not be so much short term. We've got some windy conditions off and on through this week. More on that coming up, but we also have a midweek bump in our temperatures. A couple of nice days where readings get up there into the 20s for our daytime highs. And then by the weekend, as we press towards the long weekend, we are talking about kind of mixed conditions. Some sun in there, temperatures near seasonal, but some rain chances in there too. Let's not get ahead of ourselves. Let's deal with the rain we have in hand. You can see the blue here, some of these lightning strikes just next door there in Saskatchewan. A few of those making their way over the border too. Some of the heavier rain there closer to the center of the low, and that's continuing not only this evening to trek eastward, but some of this will be lingering into early tomorrow morning as well. So in terms of the tracking of that low, there is that trough behind it, so a little bit of trailing wet weather, and then a cold front. Yes, a cold front that wants to drop in. But what's going to happen is near the tail end of this, with the pushback with this ridge of high pressure moving in and a pushback of warmer air, that's actually going to nudge that cold front. Yeah, it's going to have an impact on northern parts of the province, even towards the Inner Lakes region, but otherwise it kind of nudges that eastward, and we get the warming temperatures coming in as we move through Wednesday and into Thursday. And then there'll be another system on that one's heels once that ridge of high pressure starts to break down. So in terms of the rainfall amounts with what we're dealing with currently and what's tracking through the province, some of the higher amounts, Grand Rapids towards maybe 10 millimeters. Otherwise, we're talking in about a range of 5 to 10, other than locally where you do get a few thunderstorms. Those amounts could be a little higher. The winds also, they've already been picking up, and they'll continue to be breezy tonight and early tomorrow as they turn towards the north and northwest. And then we'll get a breather tomorrow night, but then some strong winds come in to pick those temperatures up Wednesday, Thursday. A look at some of those readings, though, and where those temps are going after the 17th tomorrow. A couple of lovely days. We'll deal with the winds, right? And when we can get those temperatures coming up into the 20s.
Thanks, Colette. It's supposed to be a fun game for students, but this high school seniors game is bringing some risky and questionable behavior. Why it's now coming with a warning from police? We'll touch on that next. If you have kids in high school, you've likely already heard of a game being played by grade 12 students. Senior Assassin involves students squirting water guns at their assigned target. It's often harmless, but now police are issuing a warning. Not only are some being mistaken for real weapons, but one recent video appears to show students targeting an unhoused Indigenous man instead of other players. Karen Pauls reports.
Senior Assassin starts tonight.
Senior Assassin is a rite of passage for many grade 12 students. Stress relief as they're writing exams and preparing for graduation. The goal, eliminate their target by squirting them with a water gun. It's supposed to be harmless. But video posted recently on social media shows an Indigenous man targeted in Kenora, Ontario.
It was really disturbing to see that video. It made me mad, it made me hurt.
Tanya Cameron is a community activist.
They're taking a cheap shot at someone who's already having so many life struggles. There's a small segment out there that don't see the harm in it. They're saying it's kids being kids, and it just blows my mind that they think that that kind of behavior on the unhoused is okay.
We found the man in the video. He said he didn't want to do an interview because he doesn't want to make waves. He said he didn't like being sprayed by the water gun, but he dealt with it. And he had this message for the students involved: don't do it to anyone else.
If you're thinking about
the OPP confirms it's investigating, and there could be serious consequences.
Any unwanted physical contact or contact with something that someone doesn't consent to could be seen as assault in the criminal codes.
Police across the country are getting 911 calls of people hiding and running through neighborhoods with what appear to be guns.
Make sure that your water gun of choice clearly resembles a toy.
Last year, a Guelph, Ontario high school was locked down and a teen arrested at gunpoint for holding what was later revealed to be a water gun.
We never know, like when we're attending a scene, is it going to be a real firearm, is it not? We obviously have to treat everything as the utmost serious situation.
Police say they don't want to throw cold water on the game, but they want students to be safe and respectful. Karen Pauls, CBC News, Kenora, Ontario.
4 Canadians from the Hantavirus-stricken cruise ship arrived back in British Columbia Sunday night. BC's provincial health officer says they will remain isolated for a minimum 21-day period and are undergoing daily monitoring.
All 4 were and continue to be well and have no symptoms. This is reassuring, but we are in a very critical phase of the incubation period.
2 are from the Yukon and 2 are from BC. Dr. Bonnie Henry says none had direct contact with those who tested positive on the cruise ship. In Ontario, the province's top doctor says 3 people are self-isolating at home. They continue to be asymptomatic, and local public health are monitoring their condition closely. 2 in Alberta are also at home isolating after possible exposure on flights. More travelers are coming forward to tell our Go Public team how WestJet suddenly canceled their flights without any compensation. Airlines don't have to pay when the cause is, quote, unplanned maintenance required for safety. But we found a pattern in WestJet's flight records that one advocate is calling fraudulent. Eric Johnson explains.
The beaches were empty a lot of the time.
Brad Vanderwilk enjoyed his recent vacation in Los Cabos, Mexico, until the last night when he and his girlfriend got an email from WestJet during dinner, canceling their flight home.
We stopped eating because we're like, how are we going to get home? We've got our kids at home. We've got to both have to work. And into a bit of a tizzy, we had to try and get through to WestJet.
He arrived home about 16 hours late, so Vanderwilk filed for compensation. Under Canada's passenger rights rules, he could get $1,000. WestJet denied his claim, citing unplanned aircraft maintenance required for safety, a category where they don't have to pay for a delay. But flight records we reviewed show WestJet swapped in a different aircraft, one that hadn't flown for 2 days, and then canceled the flight the very same minute. The original plane, it was used for a different flight.
They're lied, they're sneaky. They're just trying to do what they can to not pay anybody anything.
Recently, Go Public reported 2 similar cases. Now, more passengers have come forward. We checked flight data and found 34 cases where passengers were denied compensation after WestJet swapped in planes that needed maintenance, then canceled the flights, sometimes within minutes. In every case, WestJet claimed safety-related maintenance.
When you make business decisions, the passengers should be made whole for the inconvenience caused to them.
An air passenger advocate says the flight records show a disturbing pattern, swapping planes to avoid paying compensation.
That's fraudulent.
He estimates WestJet is saving tens of thousands of dollars per canceled flight by denying compensation, about $200,000 when delays stretch beyond 9 hours.
It is not a one-off situation. The masterminds behind this fraud need to face accountability.
Go Public asked WestJet why planes were being swapped just before cancellations. The airline declined an interview and wouldn't address our questions, but said planes are sometimes reassigned to minimize the effect of disruptions. Meantime, Canada's airline regulator has confirmed it's investigating. And Brad Vanderwilk, he's taking WestJet to small claims court. Erica Johnson, CBC News, Vancouver.
For years, doctors have called on Ottawa to ban flavored vapes. The fruity and sweet tastes have been proven to be major draws for young Canadians. Now, new research suggests that banning flavored vapes can have a positive impact. So, will the federal government act? Here's Marina von Stackelberg with the response.
After decades of smoking, Jacob Woloshyn had to kick a new addiction, vaping. The vape did help him quit more harmful cigarettes, but the flavor kept him coming back.
There's banana, mango, pineapple, ice. You look at the flavors and it's like a whole cocktail. They don't need that much. They should definitely have at least heavy restrictions, if not full-on ban.
Research shows the flavors are also what attract youth to vaping in the first place. That's why the federal government has been promising to restrict flavors to only mint, menthol, and tobacco for 5 years now. But it hasn't done that. And the health minister won't say when or even if it will still happen.
So why not just act now?
Now is when? Now today? Well, as I said, I am working, I am on it. I know the issue, I know the stakeholders ask. I am working with my team, the provinces and territories, and I will have more to say very soon.
Some provinces have acted. Now, new research from the University of Waterloo suggests that in provinces that banned flavors, teenagers appear to be vaping less. Despite restrictions, there also appears to be no significant uptick in the youth smoking rate. This cardiologist opened a clinic specifically to help vapers quit.
The reality is that there's this massive tsunami of nicotine addiction that's coming.
He says most of his patients are young. Some vape the nicotine equivalent of 100 cigarettes a day. And instead of using vaping to quit smoking, he's seeing the opposite happen.
It's actually people that were like, oh, I started vaping when I was 15. It was too harsh on my lungs, so I ended up switching to cigarettes. And this is not a one-off.
Records show the nicotine and vaping industry have been aggressively lobbying the Liberal government and Health Canada not to bring in a flavor ban. They say adult smokers choose to switch to vaping in part because they like the taste. Marina von Stackelberg, CBC News, Ottawa.
U.S. President Donald Trump says Iran's response to the latest American proposal to end the war is, quote, totally unacceptable. And he's warning that the ceasefire between the countries is on very shaky ground. Katie Nicholson has the latest.
The ceasefire brokered on April 7th has always been shaky, but the U.S. president says it's never been weaker than it is now.
Unbelievably weak, I would say. I would call it the weakest right now. After reading that piece of garbage they sent us, I didn't even finish reading it. They said, I'm not going to waste my time reading it. I would say the ceasefire is on massive life support, where the doctor walks in and says, sir, your loved one has approximately a 1% chance of living.
Last night, Donald Trump dismissed Iran's response to his government's latest proposal to get peace talks up and running again. For its part, Iran's foreign ministry spokesperson says it made a generous and responsible reply to the U.S. proposal and was only seeking its, quote, legitimate rights. Among the demands, compensation for war damage, sovereignty over the Strait of Hormuz, and the lifting of sanctions. Both countries have been publicly far apart on the future of the strait and Iran's nuclear program. On the streets of Iran, a voice of defiance echoing Iranian leadership. The strait is ours. This country is ours, he says. We have a set of rights and interests in this country that must be respected. While in the U.S., one of the biggest knock-on effects of the war being felt as pain at the pumps.
I'm thinking about getting a bike.
Trump considering suspending the federal gas tax, but that will only provide limited relief, roughly 18 cents on the gallon.
I believe it when I see it.
As the stalemate between Iran and the U.S. continues, Trump has even mused about restarting Project Freedom, that brief effort to help guide ships through the Strait of Hormuz, which he abruptly abandoned within 48 hours after escalating attacks from Iran. Katie Nicholson, CBC News, Washington.
The man accused of attempting to assassinate Donald Trump at the White House Correspondents' Dinner pleaded not guilty to all charges in a Washington courthouse. 31-year-old Cole Thomas Allen is also charged with assaulting a federal officer with a deadly weapon and 2 additional firearms offenses. Allen's lawyers are asking the court to disqualify top Justice Department officials from the case because they were at the dinner. They argue those officials could be considered victims or witnesses, creating a potential conflict of interest. Allen faces a maximum sentence of life in prison if convicted on the attempted assassination charges alone.
Much like flowers, snakes come up from the ground in the spring. But this year, it took a little bit longer. Why? That answer coming up after the break.
Much like flowers, garter snakes come from the ground every spring. But this year, Manitoba's largest snake pits began filling up later in the season and with less reptiles at this time. The reason for that might be lingering in the air. The CBC's Santiago Arias Orozco explains.
I did not expect it to be this soft.
Emerging after a long winter, red-sided garter snakes sleeping out from hibernation to the marvel of crowds on Mother's Day.
I heard about this place a few years ago, and I always wanted to visit and see, and I heard it was the best time of the year to come.
From Brandon, it was about a 3-hour drive for Veronique Sicart's family, a first-time experience for her children as well.
I was expecting to see a lot less. In fact, I was expecting to see nothing.
Really? Why?
Because it's pretty cold.
With the first warm and sunny days of the year, garter snakes like this slither up from the soil. That tends to happen at the end of April, but this year it took a little bit longer for these reptiles to fill up the dens.
We're about a week behind schedule.
That's because this spring has seen cooler weather, even snow. Snakes need warmer temperatures to come out to the surface and start mating.
And the warmer they are, the more they move. So if they're too cold, then they can't go anywhere.
This interlake area is known to have one of the largest concentrations of snakes in the world. By this point of the year, thousands of them are generally rolling in balls. On Sunday, few of them were out. And if the cold drags on, snakes will hunt, grow, even move less.
They eat like leeches and bugs and probably baby birds and stuff like that. So yeah, there might be an impact on the ecology cycle.
But she says that would need to be studied further. For now, garters are a source of joy.
It's the kind of experience they will remember, and we will remember.
For one of a kind Mother's Day. Santiago Arias Orozco, CBC News, Narcissus Snake Dens.
All right, so it's not just the humans, but the snakes that are also wondering when that warmer weather is finally going to peak out. So let's bring in meteorologist Colette Kennedy to see when those temperatures will start to increase. Colette.
Thanks, Brittany. I think everyone's encouraged when they hear warming temperatures because we've been running below seasonal. Not all the time. I know there have been some bright spots, but in general. So kind of looking at the big picture from today, we were doing okay, maybe nothing to write home about until you got a little bit further towards southwestern parts of the province and, of course, over into Saskatchewan where you had some low 20s, even in some cases pressing towards mid-20s. Well, if we look at the temperature trends, so moving into Tuesday, our temperatures are still, Winnipeg, a couple degrees below seasonal, but watch what happens Wednesday, some of that warmth when you see these contours and we're into the yellows and oranges with the temperature readings. And then that bump is going even further east into Thursday. Unfortunately, a cold front is keeping things seasonal or even a little cooler central and north, but we'll certainly get the temperatures coming up. And hey, in Saskatchewan, swift current could even be getting up to around 30 degrees as you get towards midweek. Not quite that warm in southern Manitoba, but temperatures coming up, and then Friday is kind of dropping us right back closer to seasonal. We are dealing with this area of low pressure that's bringing some of the rain in that we're experiencing right now, moving through the Red River Valley. That carries on tonight and early tomorrow morning. This is 7 a.m., and then that will start to move eastward and will start to dry out with just some spotty showers lingering along a trough, kind of trailing behind this low. Also, a little bit of a mix here where you're going to have that cold front between Grand Rapids and Thompson. You could get a little bit of wet flurry activity there, especially north of Thompson. Now, your temperatures for tonight, not nearly as chilly as last night, so some of those readings much more encouraging. In fact, a little bit above seasonal for overnight lows. Further north, we're talking about to Dooley Lake, right down to freezing, Churchill, 1 degree. And then as we take you through the day tomorrow, there's some of that wet weather that moves through, and then drying trend other than what's along that cold front. It won't be heavy in nature, but know that it's there with the low pressure center that's moving through. Generally, we're talking 5 to 10 millimeters before we start getting things drying out for us. And oh my goodness, I have a rescue dog named Bogey right now who's a golden retriever, but I used to have a golden doodle named Oakley. And how about this sweetheart? Oakley, the golden doodle from Jim, just 6 months old. Just an absolute cutie, Jim. Love, love, love that cute little nose there that Oakley has. And taking a look at your forecast for tomorrow, yeah, because of those showers and some of the breezier conditions we have tomorrow, I put a yellow paw in there, but otherwise, it's actually going to be turning into a pretty good day for your dog walking. Brittany.
Paulette. Manitoba says it plans to ban social media and AI chatbots for kids under the age of 16. The province says it's a move to protect young people from online harm and the addictive nature of the infinite scroll. But for a generation that's grown up connected, the idea raises questions about freedom, safety, and what life offline would actually look like. A Gen Z panel gathered by Marcy Marcusa sat down last week. They're all in their early 20s and wouldn't be impacted, but gave their thoughts.
Like, we've got everything ever to do with the internet in the palm of our hand, in our pocket, on our computer. Like, it's nonstop, no matter where we are.
Yep. If you cast your mind back, Kyler, then how would an AI ban have affected you if you didn't have that? Can you imagine what it would have been like, a social ban, rather?
I can see that. I did a lot of reflecting on this because I felt that, when I was a kid, I wouldn't want people prying into my business. I always felt I could deal with my own. But when I looked back, I realized how bad my life would have been if I didn't have that extra time to spend with the loved ones that's no longer here, or the people that I don't get to see anymore.
So you think a ban would have been a good thing for you in hindsight?
I think I was lucky to grow up without it because it gave me the time to do these things.
Okay. The time to do those things and connecting with them online then?
Just in person. I think that if I had the current state of social media then, I probably wouldn't have had the time to do these things.
Got it. Okay. And for you, how do you feel about the idea of a ban? And are you reflecting, Victoria, on what your life would have been like if that would have been in place?
Yeah, definitely. I think that my life would be entirely different. I think now social media, it's, inexplicably intertwined with my life, with your life, with everyone's. But I do think my life would be better, I think healthier, if I had, perhaps had further regulation on this. Not that my parents already didn't do that, but young people don't always have the capacity to pump the brakes on some of the predatory engagement tactics that these apps are using.
Okay. Now, Odin, we've seen students have found workarounds for cell phone bans in school. We heard that from Australia too. They're still refining what to do. Would a ban like this be even enforceable?
Probably not. I mean, like, when I was a kid, when the internet was just kind of like coming up, like, there was so much you could do to like hack. Like, we would download music illegally, pirate movies. Like, there's always a way, there's always a workaround, like, there's no stopping it. Especially with like VPNs like that. I think I seen Bryce Hoy. He had a segment.
One of our reporters, yeah.
Yeah, talking about it. And VPNs would be a big thing. Like, all you have to do is install a VPN, pay $100, and then you're in China.
You're getting around it. Yeah,
exactly.
And what I didn't ask you to weigh in on what your life would have been, how your life would have been different. These two are saying that in hindsight, at least, they probably would have supported a ban. How about you?
I've never used AI. I don't like it, so I wouldn't even think about my life with it. But
social media,
having Instagram or whatever, I don't think it played too big an impact on me. For me personally, and I know a lot of other people will relate, it was video games that kept me inside, and that's how I stayed connected as growing up. And I think that could be a whole nother thing. Like, how do you ban social media but then let kids still play for mature games? Because there's so many people that are going to be playing Call of Duty and other things, right? So you take away YouTube, but then these kids still have access to these adult games. I'm not sure how that would even work.
What about protecting? They're saying that the ban's about protecting young people's mental health. So I wonder, that can go two ways, because there's a protection, but then there's also people that might be young and connecting online socially because maybe they live remotely. They don't have a way to connect. So it's a complicated thing. How do we weigh that when we look at a proposed ban, Victoria?
I think it's certainly a fine balance. I mean, multiple studies, like a study from Statistics Canada, shows we see a positive association with eating disorders and social media time, with depression, anxiety, all of these things, with cyber victimization, with real life victimization, like the Premier was talking about. All of these things there is much evidence to prove that social media access is harmful. But at the same time, yes, it is a way for kids to stay connected. It is a way to have friends. Maybe you don't fit in at school, you have online friends. Maybe you're connecting with your community that you're playing games with online on Discord or something. And we do want to make sure that we're not infringing on the rights of children to have community, to grow up in a world that this is their normal. This is their version of writing letters or calling the landline. So I think there's an understanding that needs to come into play with that, and I think really centering youth at the forefront.
Kyler, who should be responsible for making social media safer? Because some people are saying that this is going too far. It's not the government's job.
I think like landing on the moon, it's a team effort. It's everybody's job. I think parents still need to parent, and I don't think that you can take that away. I think schools need to teach how to properly use it. I think the government needs to keep these companies accountable. I don't think they need to regulate. I think they need to involve themselves in getting rid of infinite scrolling and making it less appealing or less addictive in a way so you can give children the chance to get off of it. That's why I'm not in support of a full-on ban.
How playing with Lego turned into a big win for 4 students. Plus, we'll have a last check on your forecast coming up. Stay with us. Manitoba is lending some firefighter help to our southern neighbors. 10 firefighters are now in Minnesota to help with wildfires. The government says it's reciprocating the help it got last year from Minnesota. The province says the wildfire risk here remains low right now, but firefighters could be called back if conditions change.
Glad we've got a chance here to take a moment and spend a little more time on not just the 5-day, but we'll get into the 7-day forecast as well, because we have some nice temperatures showing up in the forecast here, dealing with some of the showers and thunderstorms that we have now and into early tomorrow, and still a little breezy, but almost seasonal for that daytime high, and we will dry out later in the day. Sunshine on Wednesday, Thursday. Yes, the winds will pick up, but they're from the south, and look what they're doing with those temperatures. So I'm not sure how much we'd be complaining about that. And then Friday, as we're headed towards the weekend, yeah, we are talking about the temperatures dipping back down a little bit, just a little bit, so closer to seasonal, which at this point with this spring that we've been having, we'd just about be happy to take that, right? And we do get into a chance for some showers, though, here and there, Sunday and Monday of the long weekend. Brittany.
Thanks, Colette. The LEGO League World Robotic Championships were in Houston, Texas, and they saw more than 50,000 attendees and around 1,000 teams from all over the world. But it was 4 students from Halifax who won big.
First LEGO League is a robotics competition. We won our innovation project. I was really happy. We worked on it for over 4 months.
You don't have to pull it up, just slide it, let it float.
We built a sphere that goes into the ocean and sits at the bottom, and then it waits for the sediment to settle. It takes 360-degree footage of the archaeological site, and then later we pull the weight up with a string. We also had to build a Lego robot, and we make attachments for it, and it does all the missions. We had to clear a shipwreck, and we had to clear the sand off the shipwreck, and we had to push a lever to release some boulders. I was quite excited. I knew how much work we had put into it. Not many people get to go to a world event, let alone win an award. I was really proud of everyone that we could make this possible.
And they should be proud. Well done. That's all for us tonight. We will see you back here tomorrow night, wherever you watch us streaming. See you then.